We just created a complete novel with Gemini 2 Advanced. And here's how we did it. Here we are in the dashboard. We used the 1.5 model to research best-selling novel patterns. And then we used the experimental advanced to come up with the premise, the outline, and to write each chapter. Make sure you stay all the way to the end. Let's start with the research. The first thing I'm going to do is ask for research on patterns in best-selling novels. Then we're going to take the results of this research, craft a premise, an outline, write the actual novel. We got back interesting information like the power of suspense being one of those 20% of elements that make 80% of a difference in a compelling story. I agree. Crafting an irresistible title, you're using this ABCD formula. It's interesting. A stands for attention. The title should grab attention. B is for believability. C is for care. And D is for different. So that's a great model, I think, for particularly nonfiction books. But right here, we're mostly interested in novels. Let's look at developing a compelling premise. Best-selling premises involve high stakes, unexpected twists, and relatable characters facing challenging situations. It should be original, captivating, and keep the reader's interest all the way through. Structuring your novel for success. I like this because this is like plot or narrative patterns. Here we have the hero's journey, their 3-act structure, 7-point story structure where there's a hook of first plot point, first pinch point, which is like we introduce the main conflict, raise the stakes, midpoint, second pinch point, second plot point, resolution. The catalyst plays a crucial role, mastering writing style, deep POV, emotional manipulation to get readers to feel something. Voice-driven narratives, suspense, character development, world building, pacing, originality, weaving it all together. This is good information. What I'm going to do is craft an original prompt that uses all of this research as a knowledge base for the AI. Let's move on to creating the premise next. Now we're in Gemini Advanced. I have asked the AI, Gemini, to use all the information that I'm about to give it to create a compelling, high concept novel premise. Now, I did feed it some information because I wanted it to be a thriller novel about an ex-Army Ranger. He's retired. This character wants to go out on his boat and fish, but keeps getting pulled into new missions by people from his past. I have thoughts about what makes a great premise, so I listed them here. I'll have all of this, as much of this as I can, into the video description, so check that out. Also, I copy and pasted all that information from the deep research we just did a moment ago. So we're going to click submit. This is the first time I've used this experimental advance, and I'm very interested to see how it works. One, it is very fast. I expected it to be thinking a little bit more and take a little longer because I've been using ChatGPT Pro mode. That's $200. I have that this month, and that takes sometimes several minutes. But let's see what we got with this mode. We have a title, Tides of Redemption. I like it. It ties into several elements we want. It uses the ABCD formula, attention grabbing with tides. I guess that's attention grabbing, tides, maybe. Believable, fishing boat context, the redemption. I like that. Different by combining contrasting elements of ocean tides and moral spiritual redemption. Tides of Redemption, a retired Army Ranger seeking solace in the Florida Keys is forced back into violence when a ruthless cartel boss he helped put away years ago escapes and targets everyone he loves, turning his peaceful haven into a battleground where he must confront his past and secure his future. I'm hoping this could be a series character. Protagonist Jack Reaper Riley. Jack is a very popular name for lots of popular characters throughout history. Jack Reaper Riley, a hardened but world-weary ex-Army Ranger, haunted by the ghosts of his past. He, on his boat, the Wanderer, we have a name for the boat, I like it. He's resourceful, but reluctant to return to violence. His emotional journey is from isolation to connection and purpose. That could be in one novel. It could be over the entire series. Antagonist, Marco El Tiburon Vargas, brutal leader of a powerful drug cartel. Okay. He's driven, so we have his motivation. We have some backstory, and he's going to be a active antagonist, which is great because the antagonist is the bringer of the story. Love interest, Maria Alvarez. She's a local and has a past connection to Vargas and his cartel. Buddy, Salty Pete Dawson, a Vietnam vet and fisherman, fixture at the marina. and he's Jack's friend. He's a mentor, maybe unsolicited advice. And so we have the conflict here, and we have the theme redemption through sacrifice. We have high stakes, we have consequences, we have hard choices, ticking clock mechanism. This is everything I asked for. I think it's very well laid out. Now, the next step is to build the outline. I said, I really like what you did with the premise. Let's expand the premise into a detailed chapter by chapter outline. And I wanted to be sure that the outline would reach book length, so around 80,000 words. I spelled that out clearly. I also said, which I think might be interesting to see what this AI does with it. I want to use all the techniques in this book, Secrets of Action Screenplay, which is, as you might have guessed, a screenplay book. It's some of the best information on how to write a compelling story, whether that's a screenplay, a novel, or short story. This author of that book has written a whole series. They're called, I think this is Bluebook series. It's on Amazon. I know you can get them on Kindle. I have most of those books on Kindle. You can get some in hard copy now. But anyway, I think they're some of the best books on how to write stories, period. They're my favorite books on storytelling. I'll have links in the description. I'm asking the AI to pull information from these books to improve the outline by 100%. Let's see what we got. Oh, William C. Martell. Good. So that is the author's name. So I know they got the right information, the right book anyway. So end result, a comprehensive chapter by chapter outline and all this stuff that I want. How can I improve my response? Prompt augmentation, more detailed scene breakdowns, emphasis on action techniques, set pieces, ticking clocks, reversals, raising the stakes. This is all in that book. Supporting characters, theme reinforcement. Martell has this idea called thematic storytelling. 7-point structure, great. This is very detailed. I like it actually a lot. I've already been much more impressed with this version, this Gemini Experimental Advanced, than I have the complete $200 a month ChatGPT mode. The only thing that I found helpful with that pro mode that cost, again, $200 a month is the coding seems to, you get a lot of content generated at once. But other than that, I don't think it's worth the $200. Okay, we have the outline, approximately 40 chapters. That should be enough. Interesting. All right, so we're going to go through here. First Blood, a Rambo reference, perhaps. Great movie, great story. We have a lot of information. Looks like we ran out here. I'm going to say continue. We should get the rest of the outline. And then from there, we're going to actually start writing the actual novel. We're expanding on existing chapters, adding new ones. We got part 1. So what I will do at the end of this is ask for the most updated version. So we have continued the Wanderer's Path. Let me catch you up. I've been adjusting a few things along the way. I've had to change the prompt a couple times because when I just asked the AI to continue, it started a new story. I only want one book at a time. I'm finishing here in chapter 19, even though the AI said it could be 40 chapters. There was a problem with the counting or understanding. Now we're back on track. At least we have a good plot outline up to 80,000 words. Most of the time when I test these AIs, they write pretty well, but too short. Even all chapters added up would be 40,000 words, maybe. I'm hoping with this new Gemini Advanced 2.0 Experimental Advanced, we're going to do a little bit better. Now, I'm not going to put you through generating the entire novel, but I will let you see what I do with the first chapter, particularly the first scene or a few scenes in this chapter. Then I'm going to pause, finish the rest of the story, and come back. So stay all the way to the end so you can see how this actually does with writing the story. We have our first scene. I like the formatting, easy to read. The writing seems to be pretty good. It's only 600 words. I like how it gave me a word count because I didn't ask for that at the end of each scene, but it's telling me what this scene is intended to do, which is great. But I can read, review, edit this first scene, make it longer or shorter or change it any way that I want with AI. For a first scene, 600 words isn't bad. Right now, let's just listen as the AI reads this story to us.
Chapter 1, The Wanderer's Peace. Scene 1. The sun beat down on the deck of The Wanderer, a 32-foot fishing boat, turning the fiberglass a blinding white. Jack Riley, stripped down to faded board shorts and a worn-out fishing shirt, barely noticed the heat.
I like it.
He was used to the sun, the salt, the endless expanse of turquoise water stretching out before him, broken only by the occasional leaping fish or the distant silhouette of a passing freighter. He was a part of this rhythm of the ocean, as much as the pelicans that wheeled overhead or the sharks below. He sat on the leaning post, his bare feet braced against the deck, his gaze fixed on the 4 lines trailing behind the boat. Each rod was meticulously rigged, each lure chosen with the care of a seasoned angler, a man who knew these waters. He wasn't just fishing, he was communing with the ocean, seeking a solace that only the vastness of the sea could provide. A sudden, sharp tug on the starboard rod jolted him. The reel screamed as line peeled off at an alarming rate. Instinct, honed by years of training and countless hours on the water, took over. He grabbed the rod, his muscles bunching as he set the hook with a powerful jerk. The fight was on. This was no ordinary fish. It fought with ferocity, diving deep and running parallel to the boat, testing the limits of the rod and the man holding it. Jack, his face a mask of concentration, played the fish with practiced ease, giving line when it ran, reeling in when it tired. He was a patient predator, and the fish, for all its strength and spirit, was outmatched. After a 20-minute battle that left him sweating and his arms aching, Jack finally brought the fish alongside the boat. A magnificent, its scales shimmering with iridescent blues and greens, thrashed in the water, its powerful tail slapping against the hull. He admired it for a moment, a flicker of respect in his eyes, before removing the hook. With a final splash, the fish disappeared.
I'm not a fisherman. I like to be on boats, be on the water, but I could take it or leave it with fishing. However, this scene so far, which is about fishing, has kept me interested. So let's finish out this scene just so you can get a complete sense of what this AI can do.
He released a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. The adrenaline rush faded, leaving behind emptiness. He looked out at the horizon, the endless blue stretching out before him, a mirror of the emptiness within. He was alone, truly alone, for the first time in years, and the silence was deafening. A wave of exhaustion washed over him, not just from the fight with the fish, but from a deeper, more profound weariness. He closed his eyes, and the images came, unbidden, unwanted, lurking beneath the surface. Flashes of gunfire, the wounded, the faces of the men he'd lost. The ghosts of his past. His time as a ranger. He opened his eyes, blinking away the phantoms. He wouldn't let them win. Not here. Not now. He was retired. Done. This was his sanctuary, his escape. He was trying to wash away the blood, the violence, the memories. He was Jack Riley, fisherman. Nothing more. Nothing less. He had to believe that. It was the only way he could move forward, toward a new life, free from the darkness that had consumed him. He cast his line back into the water.
I like this as a first chapter. Now, if it stayed at this pace, it might be too much of a slow burn for me. I like more action to happen, but I don't mind these quieter moments, especially when you're getting a sense that all of this is about to change. What I want to do now is move to the second scene, and I'm going to add a prompt here saying that I want each one of the scenes to be longer and make sure that we get into the story and the main conflict so I don't lose my own interest or the interest of a potential future reader. And I'll let you know how it's going to finish the outline, the entire book, let you know my final thoughts about how this AI did with the story. So stay tuned for that. I just finished writing most of chapter 2 with this Gemini Advanced 2.0 experimental model. It did 3 scenes, which is a lot for AI models. Here's the word count it did in one generation, 2,657 words, which I'm very excited about because I sometimes write long form articles, blog posts, stories, and the longer this word count is per generation, I really excited about that because that makes it faster to create a whole short story in one go, a whole blog post in one go. It makes the entire process of generating a story much, much faster. Let me also tell you that I'm reminding and asking the AI to continually go back and think about the word count, think about the premise, think about the outline. I'm doing that because I really want a cohesive story that is based on the outline. If I need to, I'll copy and paste the outline back into the chat. So far, I haven't had to do that. It's still on track. I'm going to write the rest of the story, but I wanted to let you know about the word count. The final tally is around 50,000 words, 30,000 words shy of the 80,000 word target goal, which is a little disappointing. I was hoping that this would get closer to 80,000 with prompting and expanding each scene, adding new scenes. You could hit 80,000. It would just take more work. Originally, I wanted to copy this entire novel into a PDF for download, but that's going to take more work because around chapter 7, the AI got confused. So I just want to show you what I have so far. This is an AI image, not perfect, but I like it. It's a book cover created with Ideogram. And this is in Google Docs. One of the cool things about Google Docs and Gemini is that Gemini is integrated into Google Docs. Scroll down, we have the first 6 chapters here. Gemini did write all 19 chapters. As you can see, you can use Google Gemini within Google Docs. You don't have to write inside Google Gemini and copy it over. I didn't know that at first. It would have been easier to keep the formatting correct. You can ask it to write. Here's a couple other things you can do. So what's my overall grade of Gemini 2 Experimental Advanced? I really like it. It creates a lot of content and it seems to be able to have a pretty big context window for creating novels, which I think is important for cohesiveness. Maybe I didn't need to copy and paste the outline so often. Parts I didn't like, we only reached 50,000 words instead of 80,000, which is a standard length of a novel. Also, there was that confusion part, chapter 6 and 7 kind of messed up. I don't think that this is better than ChatGPT or other AIs for creating stories. I'd give it a solid B, maybe, for creating the novel. The writing is pretty good. The story ideas are pretty good. I like the deep research. I'm excited about where this can go. I have another video coming up either this week or early next week about a way to automate your novel writing in any of these AI tools. I call it an infinite novel glitch. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.